When I see an overachiever overachieve, that's what football's about. Because most of us who played were told by somebody you're not good enough. And they do everything in their power to tell you why you're going to fail. And if you believe them, you become one of them. They're very good recruiters.
Don't tell me to go on. I'll go on, I'm ready to go on. Why don't you take your butt out of here if you're going to be disrespectful? Well, you will.
For an opponent to be equal and to raise their level of play in such a fashion that they win. And that's how this thing works. That in fact you respect the opponent, and he's not the hammer, and he's not the freaking nail. Okay? He's the opponent.
All right, so when you ask me those kind of questions, it really pisses me off.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40! I'm not a kid! Write something about me!
Well, I think it's ridiculous that you're even asking me that question.
Who's that thing standing in the way? No way!
I caught that boy in the bathroom smacking off.
And welcome back to the Smacking Off podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Madden, and I'm joined with my co-host, Mr. Doug Phillips. Mr. Doug Phillips, how are you doing?
I'm great.
Man, we got a great show tonight. Of course, everybody in the college football world is talking about the brutal loss that the Oklahoma Sooners suffered at the hands of Iowa State, the perennial Big 12 doormat. So we're going to be talking about that loss with Mr. Tom Murphy, fellow that I've smacked with in Facebook groups quite a few times. And also we're going to be talking about the upcoming Red River rivalry, the game that all of the Oklahoma and Texas fans are eagerly awaiting. We're also going to be joined with our, he's on just about every week seems like, Mr. Sean Vergowven, a Michigan State fan who's going to talk about that very surprising win, the Spartans against the Wolverines last weekend. They were able to edge them out 14-10, and he's going to do some bragging about it. And, of course, the one we've all been waiting for, a smack-off between two legendary posters. Mr. Bobby Wesson, admin over at SEC Smack. Bobby's pretty much everywhere, and so is this next fella, Tiggy Domz. Woo! The boys are going to talk about the SEC versus Pac-12 and where their teams, representative teams, are going to wind up in the playoffs. Bobby will, of course, be representing the Alabama Crimson Tide, and Mr. Tiggy will be representing those Washington Huskies like he always does. Well, I don't know. What else is there to talk about this week? We've got some really just incredible games that happened this past weekend as far as national championship contention and consideration. Both Oklahoma and Michigan, they had a lot of talk off season about both teams possibly being in the playoffs. Doug, what was your takeaway on both of those games?
I really thought Baylor would have woke them up, but obviously it didn't go like that. And Michigan, I've been realizing Michigan's trash for several weeks now.
Yeah, man.
And it just finally got revealed. Like it always does. Trash always reveals itself.
Yes, it certainly does. So stay tuned for this exciting episode. You're not going to want to miss this.
Play of the week.
Absolutely can't get sacked, though. Ball's got to come out of your hands immediately. Although they do have that one timeout left. Rozier going to take a shot, and it is caught into the end zone. Touchdown, Miami! Darrell Langham with the grab. Canes in front. 6 seconds left.
Play of the game. Mayfield looking. Plenty of time. Flushed. Over the middle. Incomplete.
Iowa State, the signature upset win for Matt Campbell in this.
And we are joined now with our fellow smacker, a guy that I personally smacked with quite a bit on the interwebs, Mr. Tom Murphy, who's an Oklahoma Sooners fan, here to talk about his Sooners. Let's do it, Tom. How you doing tonight?
Well, I'm doing good. How are you and Doug doing?
Oh, absolutely fabulous.
Fabulous? Who uses fabulous?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying it out. I don't use it very often.
It worked.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on, and I said with Doug, I've seen Doug, and I've probably convoed with him a little bit, but not a whole lot. But now you, on the other hand, we've done some smacking, and hell,
there's been conversation.
I thought for a while that you were a little bit, special, because all you used to do to me is post that damn Joe Mixon video link.
Man, that was a classic. I need to bring that one out.
Does this boy know anything more than that?
Do we need to lead into the segue with the Joe Mixon video?
Yeah, definitely. While this interview is going to be taking place, we're going to be playing with the audio off. We'll be playing the Joe Mixon video on the podcast when it gets uploaded. So.
No.
Well, we'll steer clear of Joe Mixon talk tonight. He's kicking ass in the NFL, and hey,
I don't mind talking about him, dude. I'll tell you where I stand on that one too.
Well, we'll save that for another broadcast because we have more pressing matters to talk about, and of course that is the game that took place last Saturday between the Oklahoma Sooners and the Iowa State Cyclones. But boy, don't you wish that was the Ohio State game all over again?
Yeah.
That was a tough game this weekend. Give me your thought.
Yeah, it was unexpected for sure, and it just we need so much help everywhere. I mean, the defense needed help, the offense in the second half needed help, kicking game needed help. It just went south, and I don't know what they could have done to change it besides make some tackles, but
Iowa
you win
State's,
some, you lose some. I've been watching Oklahoma play since 1971, and the first game I ever watched was the OU Nebraska game of the century. We lost that game, but I was hooked.
Yeah. And that would have been, you would have been what? How old
Run around the house with Boomer Sooner playing. I've been a long time Sooner fan.
So how old were you then?
That one was a hard loss.
You were what? You're in your mid-40s then? Somewhere around there?
No,
I'm messing with you, Tom.
In 1971, I was busy being born.
Yeah, I wasn't even born yet. I'm a baby.
Yeah.
I'm the baby of the group.
Yeah. Well, we had just got back from Germany, and I didn't really even know what the hell football was. My dad was stationed over there, and we all played soccer.
Yeah.
And the kids would bring football and be like, "You need to put that away. We're playing soccer over here," And then that was actually the first game I saw, because, back then, you didn't see games on TV every week, Now, every game Oklahoma plays, it's on TV somewhere.
Oh, every game that you can conceive.
Back then, it was Texas and Nebraska.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened to the Texas game, but I did catch the Nebraska game, and it was number 1, number 2, and it was a hell of a game. And, I mean, I couldn't ask for a better game to start my football watching with.
You could have.
Sure,
You could have.
It was exciting.
You could have got the win.
Yeah, that would have been it, but I don't think it would have changed, my outlook. I was hooked, So
that was kind of the same as me. The first Alabama-Auburn game I watched, Auburn won in 1986.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Pat Dye, that old bastard.
Yep.
I wonder where he's at right now. He's drunk somewhere. He's got to be. Is he still awake now? Yeah. So, anyways, So, I mean, again, the Kemps, the quarterback for Iowa State, threw for 343 yards against that Oklahoma defense. And we were talking earlier in the conversation about, actually off air, about that Oklahoma defense. I mean, it looks so damn good against Ohio State. We thought finally Oklahoma's got that magic team put together, and Bob honestly did leave them stacked like he said he did. I mean, what do you see going on there as far as pass defense?
I don't know. We're not getting any pressure on the quarterback. That's for sure. I mean, we got, and I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I just refer to him as Obo. He gets him a sack a game, but we really don't bring a lot of pressure. We don't do a lot of blitzing and stuff, and we put them, in the Big 12. It's just spread out, and you're one-on-one most of the time, and you take a wrong angle or and somebody's wide open, and especially when you let them sit back there and just do what they want. Now, hell, this was I think their third string quarterback who had maybe 2 passes in his career. It looked pretty good to me.
Looked damn good. And real quick, what do you think about TCU? Is TCU for real?
Man, I haven't really seen a whole lot of them. I watched them play Oklahoma State, and they look good. And Gary Patterson's he's a great coach. I mean, he may have an off year like last year. I think they went maybe 7-6 or something like that, or 6-7. I don't remember what they went, but he always bounces back, and he's got him a decent quarterback, and his teams usually play pretty good defense. I mean, there's times they don't, but when we play them in Norman, it'll be a tough game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, that's November 11th, and that's going to be a slobber knocker. I mean, and again, Oklahoma's got after this game this weekend. Of course, the Red River rivalry is coming up, and what are your feelings on that? Texas is 2-0 in the conference right now, but they've on a national front they've looked a little shaky.
Yeah, they're kind of hard to judge right now. I mean, because they've played good offense in a couple games. I mean, they put 41 on Maryland, but then they only put 17 on Iowa State, and they're just. I think they're really inconsistent right now. But when it comes to that game there, it really the records really go out the window. Man.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, that's huge.
The more you think that you've got them beat, the less likely you are to beat them. And I mean we've beat them bad too some years. Where we weren't expected to beat them that bad, or weren't even expected to beat them, and we've and it goes back and forth with that. I don't like Texas. I don't like Texas at all.
I don't either. I don't blame you.
I listen to a lot of shit.
Real quick though, after Texas, you got Kansas State, which should be a game that Oklahoma should be able to handle. All of the rhetoric about the Iowa State loss, aside. But then you've got a tough stretch coming up with Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, and TCU just back to back to back to back, and that's going to be tough. Of course, both of those Texas Tech and TCU are going to be home games, and you're going to little brother's house. November 4th. Yeah. How you feeling about that game?
That'll be an interesting one, but. And I don't refer to him as little brother. I always refer to him as little sister.
Ooh.
And I mean, dude, they beat us 18 times, and we beat them 88 or something like 87. I mean, it's a rivalry in name only. I mean, it's bedlam, but.
Yeah, and if you glance at their schedule,
we're going to kick their ass again this year.
If you glance at their schedule, they really, I mean, you want to talk about a cream puff cheesecake schedule. Oklahoma State definitely has it. Particularly, really the only game that they've got coming up, is definitely going to be, I don't know, the Baylor game could go either way. They're playing Texas, West Virginia, and then the Oklahoma game. And then after that, they have Iowa State, K-State, and then Kansas to finish the year, which should be an easy win for them. I mean, it's really still kind of wide open in the Big 12 right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, as much as I thought we've had had it won, I look at the schedule, and that Oklahoma State game will be a tough one. Texas Saturday, that'll be a tough game.
I expect that one to go down to the wire. West
Virginia to end the season, they're coming here, so we got them at home. Tech, hell, they you never can tell with them. I mean, I went to a game one year, and it was lightning, raining, and, we had to clear the bleachers and all that shit, and we get out there, and they commence to just kicking our ass, and it's like, what? But Tech's always played us pretty tough. They give us a game, and TCU, that's the game I think is going to be the toughest, is TCU.
Well, Tom, real quick, right before you go, I've got to ask one question, and one question only. Give me a score for this weekend's game. Your prediction, Texas, Oklahoma. Do it.
38-20.
38
Oklahoma.
to 20. Ooh. Lincoln bounces back on that one. Well, Tom, I really appreciate you coming on to the show. Can we have you back for future episodes? Because y'all have some really big games coming up that I definitely want to talk about when they come up.
You can have me on anytime you want. Just give me a little bit of notice, and I'll get on. And like I said, I will talk anything you want to talk about.
Excellent. And go and give the audience your home address real quick in case anybody has exception. Thanks,
hey,
Tom.
hell, you got that saved in your GPS, man.
We're posting it on screen right now during the broadcast. That and the Joe Mixon video. Smacking Off invites you to join us on the podcast. If you have an opinion on an upcoming game, some commentary on your conference, or want to roll with one of your fellow smackers on air, hit us up. You can message us at the Smacking Off or X's and O's Facebook pages, email me at maddenshannon@toothfairy.com, or call us on the Smack Line, 304-508-BAIT. And as always, fuck your team.
Mayfield sets up deep in the pocket, fires the deep ball for Westbrook. Foreman hits the edge on his feet to the end zone. Touchdown. Just like that, Texas scores. That's it. Oklahoma holds on.
All right, and we are back on the Smacking Off podcast. We have our next next smacker, Timothy Bailey, wants to talk some smack tonight. What you want to talk smack about, baby?
Well, the first thing I think is really funny. I'm a big Oklahoma Sooners fan, and of course we have Red River Rivalry this weekend.
Let's talk about fuck them Longhorns. Do it.
Yeah. Well, first of all, their stadium's named after one of the greatest Sooners of all time. So you're owned by your rival if you're naming your stadium after one of them. Very few people know this, but Darrell Royal was actually a 4-year starter at OU. He played defensive back and quarterback, led them to a 11-0 season in 1949, and still holds the record to this day for 17 interceptions, which is the most in school history by a single player. So a lot of people don't know that, but Darrell Royal is actually a Sooner.
Yeah, you gotta love that. That'd be seriously like Alabama playing in the Pat Nye Stadium or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be fucked up.
That's why we play in the Cotton Bowl, because we already own the Darrell Royal Stadium.
Right.
Quick question though, give me, and of course, again, we referenced that loss last weekend, but give me your honest, humble opinion why Oklahoma is going to beat Texas this weekend.
Well, I think that you see this every year with these top teams. I think outside of Alabama is the only team that doesn't do this stuff where you just play complacently. OU got that big win against Ohio State, and you could tell they haven't played the same since then. Baylor game wasn't very pretty either. Iowa State, you got to give them credit, first of all. They've got a really good coach, and that's part of the reason why they were able to win. They were focused and ready to go, and the Sooners weren't. But I think losses like this usually help teams because, as you were well aware, the last 3 national champions lost on their home turf as double-digit home favorites. So the Sooners definitely aren't out of the mix. But that loss to Iowa State was bad. I think we'll beat Texas. We'll be focused and angry. And, I was a little worried about this game last week when I was thinking about it before the Iowa State game. But I think after the loss, I'm more confident than ever that, we're going to give them our 110%. I just don't think Texas is where they need to be yet to be able to handle that kind of onslaught. Maybe in a couple of years, Herman is going to build something down there. But right now, if OU plays their A game, I don't think Texas can stay within 3 touchdowns.
I mean, if OU plays their A game, they should be back in the national championship contention. I mean, and again, their best game being that win, humiliating win over Ohio State at home. At Ohio State's backyard. I mean, fuck you, Urban, in his own backyard. I'm an Alabama fan, and absolutely that was beautiful. I was good either way because I hate both fan bases. So.
Hey, that's the nice thing. When you're, Ohio State and Oklahoma, Alabama, they're 3 of the top 5 programs in all of college football. So you got to have a little bit of a love-hate with them, the respect, but at the same time, a little hatred because,
absolutely,
everyone has to have their stake, who's the best. I mean, that's a real debate. I mean, I think Alabama, Oklahoma are really the only 2 that separate themselves from the other 3. But I mean, Ohio State's always good. They don't really have a bad decade, to be honest with you. They're not always winning national championships, but they're always pretty good.
Well, who's the best debate? It's funny that you bring that up because one of the things that I don't know that has popped up in some of these Facebook threads recently and that I just have to keep going back to is that, the game of college football is completely different than eras gone by.
Absolutely. For example, this Iowa State loss that OU just had, their season would be done in the poll era. It was over.
Yeah,
it's over with a loss like that. Clemson's loss last year, season's over.
But then again, if Iowa State turns around and actually uses, on the flip side of that, uses this win and actually gains momentum throughout the season, that's actually going to help Oklahoma strength of schedule down toward the end.
Sure. And Iowa State's not as bad as the normal Iowa State. I mean, Iowa State's usually a floor mat, but with Matt Campbell, I mean, they're really not going to be that bad. They'll probably win, at least 6 or 7 games, with the ceiling of 8, maybe 9 after a bowl game. But I mean, regardless, OU should have been able to take care of business. But then again, Ohio State should have beaten Virginia Tech a couple years ago. Clemson should have beaten Pitt last year, and
I can think of a couple games that Alabama played against Ole Miss that they should have won.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys had to give it to them this year. I mean, they kind of took you. They kind of took you for a ride 3 years in a row. They probably should have beaten you last year.
That right there was a testament to how long Nick Saban's memory is, and it's probably going to be like that for him for the next few years.
Oh yeah, I mean, kick them while they're down. I mean, why not, right?
Right.
Yeah, fuck you, Freeze.
I really thought that the Baylor game would have woke Oklahoma up. I really don't know why we had a repeat performance the next time.
Dude, I have no idea. The Baylor game was a little fluky. The Baylor game, like if you watch the tape of the Baylor game and the Iowa State game, it's totally different. I mean, the Baylor game, for whatever reason, Jordan Thomas, who's considered, one of the top 5 or 6 corners in college football, just kept getting beat deep over and over again. He made some knuckleheaded plays, and that game should have been a blowout. It was a blowout for a long time, and then, just these big plays got them back in it. And really the game wasn't as close at the end as it seemed, even though they got that onside kick. But the Iowa State game was way different. I mean, they just attacked in the screen game. I mean, they've got all their receivers are like 6'6". They got big dudes, and they just attacked in the screen game. And I think that the Iowa State game was worse because when you play in the Big 12, I mean, even Alabama, for example, when they play these spread teams, they struggle. They give up some big plays. It's going to happen when people throw 45 times a game and have the talent they do at receiver.
Oh yeah.
But when you play against Iowa State and you just get handled, I mean, we couldn't get off blocks against receivers. It was pretty embarrassing. I mean, these guys were getting 6, 7, 8 yards in the screen game before someone could even lay a hand on them. I mean, whether that's just kudos to Iowa State or OU just not playing well, or maybe taking a week off.
I mean, maybe there was something in film that Iowa State was able to pick up on as far as individual matchups and went from there. Sure. I mean, that's what I'm saying. The game of college football has changed dramatically, particularly with all the new technology that's available for coaches to be able to not only dissect the game beforehand. Used to watching game film meant exactly that. You went in there with the old reel-to-reel projector, and you had a few people in there, some of the assistant coaches smoking and drinking scotch, and you heard the old tick, tick, tick of the projector. And now, I mean, they can stop and zoom in and focus on and bring the player over and have a quick conversation about, see here what you did on this play and so on and so forth. And just technology, technology is just one of the many facets that has completely changed the game of college football as we know now. Quick question, though. Who do you see coming up past the Red River rivalry that's going to give Oklahoma the most trouble?
Well,
got some big games.
Really,
I mean, there's really a 3-game stretch. It's brutal for Oklahoma.
We've got a couple. I think that the team that's the most scary matchup for Oklahoma is West Virginia. TCU and Oklahoma State are better teams, but the thing with TCU, Oklahoma's run defense is fantastic. Outside of the Ohio State game, which is pretty understandable. I mean, we've held pretty much everyone under 3 yards per carry. So that's pretty big. I mean, mostly playing in an odd front doing that too, so that's pretty impressive. But West Virginia has ridiculous balance. I mean, they can do it all. They have a guy in Jamal Crawford who's just a stud, and then Will Greer is going to be he has a very bright future on Sundays, in my opinion. And I think that matchup is probably the most difficult task that OU has, because they can keep it balanced. Like TCU will run heavily, and I don't think that favors them. I do think the game will be close, but I don't think that them running more than passing is going to help them. Right. And then Oklahoma State, they're just that kind of team. Every single time Bedlam comes up, it's a big game, and then OU usually puts the smack down.
And they've got a stud at quarterback too, to boot. They're definitely throwing the ball at a ridiculous rate.
Yeah. Oklahoma State's, Bedlam's had some crazy games, but Rudolph specifically just doesn't have good games versus Oklahoma. And Jordan Thomas, if he can ever get back to being himself, he's done a number on James Washington these last couple of years. I mean, OU hasn't even been playing with them late into the fourth quarter these last couple of years. So I think it'll be kind of more of the same with Oklahoma State. I just think that depth issue, and then Oklahoma State's not getting those linemen back, and that offensive line's atrocious. And as long as that's a problem, it's going to be a nightmare for them against teams with the quality depth and talent OU has. Not everyone in the Big 12 has that, but OU obviously they recruit well enough to get those stud depth of the defensive line. I mean, it's not Alabama or Auburn, but it's good enough to where they'll be able to expose that issue for Oklahoma State. But yeah, I think it's West Virginia that poses the biggest threat. I think TCU is the best team left, though.
Yep.
Interesting. Well, Timothy, we really appreciate you coming on. We hope to have you back on soon, and thank you for joining us on Smack Off.
It was a great time. Thanks for having me.
Just our effort today. Thought we were really ready to play. I thought the bye week was really good, and our energy early in the game was good again. Similar to
congratulations, Miami. Did a heck of a job. Played a heck of a football game. Made the plays when they had to make it at the end. Congratulations to Florida State. Florida State played a hell of a football game, too. Made plays at the end when they had to.
First and foremost, my hat's off to the way they rallied and played a real physical ball game. They came in and got after us on the line of scrimmage. I think that, when we go back, I think we're going to find out really the difference in the game was third downs.
Losers Corner.
Jump down, turn around and pick a bale of cotton. I jump down, turn around and pick a bale of day. I jump down, turn around and pick a bale of cotton. I jump down, turn around and pick a bale of day. Oh Lord, pick a bale of cotton. Oh Lord, pick a bale of day. Oh Lord, pick a bale of cotton. Oh Lord, pick a bale of day.
Well, me and my gal can pick a bale of cotton.
I mean my gal can pick a bale of day. I mean my gal can pick a bale of cotton. I mean my gal can pick a bale of day. Oh Lord, pick a bale of cotton. Oh Lord, pick a bale of day. pick a bale of cotton. Oh, Lordy, pick a bale a day.
Me and my wife can pick a bale of cotton.
I mean, my wife can pick a bale a day. I mean, my wife can pick a bale of cotton. I mean, my wife can pick a bale a day. Oh, Lordy, pick a bale of cotton. Oh, Lordy, pick a bale a day. Oh, Lordy, pick a bale of cotton. Oh, Lordy, pick a bale a day.
And we are back. We're joined with a quick moment of redemption with Mr. Sean Vergowven, Michigan State fan who's been on our episode, on our podcast, a couple episodes now, discussing the Michigan State football team, which is now standing. Where are we at now? 4-1.
4-1.
Yeah, 4-1. Huge win over the Michigan Wolverines.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously watched every snap of that game. And then I don't know if you guys were watching, but they kept breaking in, showing where that weather front was coming in, the one that had battered Indiana earlier in the day. So we're looking at it and we're like, and I looked over at my wife and I was like, whoever has the lead at halftime is going to win this thing. Antonio knew. And so he tried pouring on the points as much as he could before halftime. I mean, they were one dropped pass away from 17-3 or possibly even 21-3 before halftime, because after halftime it was a shit show. That weather, it was just sloppy.
Oh yeah, that was one for the ages right there. I felt bad for anybody that actually decided to sit through that one.
Oh yeah.
But and again, I mean, just a huge win for the Michigan State program. However, a lot of the national rhetoric about this particular game is the fact that, well, Harbaugh kind of got out-coached in this one. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree. I mean, so I would argued with Ohio State fans. I've argued with Penn State fans, Michigan fans. I would argue, pound for pound, Mark D'Antonio is the best coach in the Big Ten. Now, he's not the best recruiter. That is, Urban Meyer, hands down, is the best recruiter. But Mark D'Antonio has gone toe-to-toe with Ohio State on multiple occasions. Last year, they went 3-9, and it took a blown 2-point conversion for Ohio State to escape last season.
Mm-hmm.
Mark D'Antonio can out-coach Urban Meyer, but the thing Urban Meyer has is he can out-recruit almost anybody in the Big Ten. I would argue that Urban Meyer is the second best recruiter in the country behind Nick Saban.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that.
So, you're right, though. A lot of this is that Harbaugh got out-coached. And what I saw was a lot of that Harbaugh mystique that, we call it the honeymoon, that the media and the fans have had with Harbaugh ever since he got hired, kind of hit home. And because he had, I think Rashawn Gary was the number one recruit in the country 2 years ago. I mean, they've got a bunch of talent on that defense, a bunch of talent on offense, and we're rolling in with 2 and 3 stars, and we're just dominating. That mentality of Michigan is that they should be able to beat Michigan State just by showing up.
Yeah,
and,
well,
those days are gone.
We talked earlier in the podcast about the Oklahoma-Iowa State game at great length, and again, that was my perception. Not only with that game, but also the Baylor game that preceded it, was that Oklahoma had come off that huge win at Ohio State in Urban's own backyard and just utterly humiliated them on both sides of the ball. And I don't know,
yeah.
maybe that cockiness and that swagger eventually kind of caught up to him, because Iowa State has a losing record against every single Big 12 school with the exception of K-State. Yeah, I mean, seriously, every single school they have a losing record, and the record against Oklahoma is just, it's deplorable. I think it's like 6-57 now or something like that. It's something ridiculous. Just a ridiculous number.
I caught the end of that game, and they said that Iowa State snapped like an 18-game losing streak to Oklahoma with that win.
Yep. I
was just like, damn.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about ownership. That's that's pretty tough. But and again though, as far as playoff implications, because again, both Oklahoma and Michigan started the season with conversation that these are two teams to look out for. Oklahoma definitely, particularly after that huge win against Ohio State. It was a lock. I mean, even I said it, and I'd kind of been pretty harsh on the Sooners for the past year or so, just because of the way they handled the whole mixing thing and the fact that Bob Stoops, for some reason or another, just couldn't seem to win that big game and take it to the next level. Even when he was given the national championship on a silver platter, just couldn't bring it home. Except for that one time almost 20 years ago. So.
And I think as far as like the Big Ten is concerned and the playoffs and Michigan State and everything, I think so. The biggest concern for Michigan State is that D'Antonio, because we started 10 true freshmen this week. So what D'Antonio is trying to do is trying to get them past that emotional win, because like I said on the last one, Michigan is a big game for us. We don't deny it. We don't try to say, hey, this is just another game for us. No, this is always a big game. That was D'Antonio's major thing when he first took this job, was establishing that, hey, we circle it in red every year. This is the game. This is the game we're going to win. So it's a huge emotional thing. I've heard chatter from around the Sendericus building that they're like, outside of watching game film, they haven't mentioned Michigan at all. It is all about Minnesota. They're focused on Minnesota because after Minnesota, they have the high-powered offense from Indiana coming into East Lansing for homecoming. Mm-hmm. Then they go to Northwestern. And that's when they start that back-to-back brutality of Ohio
Penn State and Ohio State back-to-back. That's well, luckily they host Penn State at home, but that's going to be at Ohio State.
So, I mean, right now, everyone is kind of looking at the Spartans like, okay, maybe they're back to D'Antonio typical form of winning 10, 11 games a year. But no one really wants to say, like, legitimate chance at the Big Ten this year. Because everyone is a little bit hesitant, because the Spartans have not put together a full game of quality defense. Like, the defense against Michigan was outstanding. The offensive line did great, but we got like 2 first downs in the entire second half, maybe 3, which, I mean, that's just, you don't get confidence on a team when you watch that, when it's just constantly 3 and out.
Well, and to be fair, I mean, we are talking about Michigan. Michigan is, basically hosts arguably one of the best defenses in NCAA right now. They finished last year, I believe, at the top of the pack, I want to say.
Yeah, they did.
It's
they're good this year.
But again, though, that's a huge testament to Michigan State's defense to be able to hold them to 10 points. That was a huge win, absolutely huge win.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, it is a testament that the fact we were able to hold them to 10 points, but in reality, Michigan's offense is, because I can't think of a better word, it's pedestrian at best.
Absolutely.
I mean, nothing on that offense screams like, hey, look at me. Mm-hmm. Number 1 wide receiver in Donovan Peoples-Jones. And Josiah Scott, a 3-star who's been fantastic for us, a true freshman, was in his hip pocket all night. Yeah, Donovan Peoples-Jones came up with some good catches. At the end of the day, he wasn't wide open. He wasn't burning Scott. It's not like he was completely just dominating these 3-star athletes.
Right. Well, let's go to the big game here. Let's talk about the trip to Minnesota. What's your
Minnesota? They got PJ Fleck. I don't know much about their offense. I was a big fan of Max Williams a couple years ago under Jerry Kill. Jerry Kill righted that ship. And then when Jerry Kill retired for medical reasons, and then they hired Tracy Claeys, Claeys was doing good things. I mean, Claeys was a 3-place series away from beating Michigan that first season for him. And then with the offseason stuff of him supporting his players, they decided to let him go. They hired PJ Fleck. PJ Fleck, he's a dynamic coach. But again, he coached a MAC Western team to 13-1. How good he is, I don't know. I mean, he lost to Maryland with their 3rd-string quarterback starting at home. Purdue came in and put a beat down on him last week of 31-17.
Right.
And they're out there starting safety, and they're out 3 other starters. I don't know off the top of my head who. I mean, that Minnesota game, it's a test because it's all about, can D'Antonio get these guys focused? Because this is the classic signs of a trap game.
Yeah, it is.
Because whether or not we want to acknowledge it, Indiana, we have a trophy game with Indiana. We play for the old brass spittoon. They won it last year. That's like the first time under D'Antonio that they've held the old brass spittoon. So that's got to be playing in the back of the kids' minds of like, hey, we want this trophy back. Problem is you have Minnesota before that.
Right.
If he can get them, I think the talent's there to beat Minnesota, but they have to be able to focus and come out and play good Spartan ball.
Let's get a prediction.
Prediction, let's see. Purdue beat them 31-17. I think our defense is better. Let's go 28-10.
28-10. Ooh, that's another beatdown right there. Well, Sean, as always, we do appreciate your wonderful input, and we hope to have you back on future episodes of the Smacking Off podcast. Thanks a bunch.
Yep, no problem.
El estado de la semana.
When defense would get going, offense couldn't finish off a drive. Offense get going, defense couldn't get.
Smacking Off invites you to join us on the podcast. If you have an opinion on an upcoming game, some commentary on your conference, or want to roll with one of your fellow smackers on air, hit us up. You can message us at the Smacking Off or X's and O's Facebook pages, email me at maddenshannon@toothfairy.com, or call us on the Smack line, 304-508-BAIT. And as always, fuck your team.
Smack Off.
And we are back with the Smacking Off podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, the Smack Off you've all been waiting for. From SEC Smack representing the SEC, their very own Bobby Wesson. Well, there'll be some applause in the post-production. And representing the Pac-12, the John the Baptist of the Pac-12, ladies and gentlemen, legendary poster, Tiggy Domz. What's up, fellas?
Yeah, looks cool. So, John the Baptist, how are you the John the Baptist of the Pac-12? Is that because like the real smacker will show up 100 years from now? Or just a precursor for him?
You know, I never associate myself with that. You know, that's more of a BYU thing. You know, we don't really. You know, it's not really Pac-12 thing.
Well, I mean, they've got the magic underwear. BYU's not a Pac-12 team. They could be. How do you feel about BYU up there in Washington country?
BYU, I mean, as a football team, yeah, they're all right as like a football team, but you know.
Well, I saw something here on my newsfeed recently that BYU, and this was fucking news. I mean, it was no joke. I had to fact check it.
Real news, not fake news. Real news.
Serve caffeinated drinks at the stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
crazy,
like,
dude.
yeah, they're gonna fucking party, man. They're gonna have caffeine in the stadium with people in Utah. It was a big thing. I mean, the thread had thousands of comments. People were pissed off.
Have either one of you ever been to a strip club with a Mormon? It is hilarious. No shit. True story. I'll go into it some other time. True story, man. I've led an interesting life.
I lived in Utah for about 6 months.
What'd you do that for?
And, I mean, they're super friendly people, man. It's really nice, but
I've been to Chick-fil-A, man. Shit, I mean, those are some good people, man.
Well, it was, you know, I mean, I felt like if I was there for another 6, I would have been Mormon before I left, just because I would have felt socially obligated to do it because they were just so stupid nice.
Don't give me that shit. It was the multiple wives thing. That's what had you hooked.
Well, I mean, I've already got a bunch of cousins, so I mean, that's not even bothering me.
Roll Tide.
I mean, why would I want to marry them? That's not any fun.
Tiggy.
All right, bro.
Tiggy, let's
Yeah,
talk.
right.
Let's talk for a second. I want to hear. I want to hear some playoff talk.
You're trying
Playoff talk.
to get the
Talking about
conversation.
the
My bad.
playoffs?
Go ahead.
Yeah, let's talk about the playoffs because again, both of us, both of you fellows are representing fan bases that you strongly believe are going to make the playoffs this year.
Well, let me clarify here to start with. My intro was that I'm repping the SEC. I'm not. I'm an Alabama fan. Fuck the SEC.
Well, Alabama pretty much
how
is
I
the
feel about
SEC,
it.
though. If you want to get down to it.
Yeah, I mean, SEC is, hey, it's great, but Alabama fans generally scream "Roll Tide." The people you hear yelling SEC are the people that are not making the championship games and are
Kentucky
not
fans
making
Yeah.
playoff games.
Facts.
And I mean, and they're just trying to dick ride Alabama's success when they're smacking with somebody who's from a fan base that can't beat Bama, and that's what I don't know how that whole thing came to be. I don't give a fuck if Auburn is playing people. They could be playing an entire team full of people that only scrape their nails down chalkboards and tell you, "Happy, I'll see you next year on December 31st." And I fucking hate both those people, right? I would still pull for them over Auburn. I don't care who Tennessee's playing.
Yeah,
I don't
fuck
care what
Auburn.
the
Let's go.
stakes are.
I think we can all agree on that right now. Fuck Auburn.
Well, I mean, if they were playing for the sake of the galaxy, I wouldn't give a shit. They could be playing Darth Vader. I don't care. Death Star this bastard. I don't give a shit.
Well,
I don't want them to win.
Let's talk about Washington.
Tiggy.
Yeah, I'm here.
Tell us about Washington. What's going to happen?
All right, bro. Bro, here's the thing, right? I came into the group before week 1. Like back in January, right? After the season ended, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
I came in, bro. I told everyone Washington's gonna go 12-0. I said, see me at the end of the season. I'ma have a hat on that says I told you so. 12-0, bro. I'm gonna change it right now. I'm saying it right now. 13-0. All right, 13-0 and guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
Well, now look, it's not a big
I've seen the
guarantee coming
Pac-12.
out of the Pac-12.
The Pac-12 is a one-team conference, bro. We're gonna run this shit, dude. Yo, Washington State is trash. All right, they're not good, bro. And we play them in Seattle, dude. Look at our schedule, bro. If you really think any of those teams are gonna stop us, bro, you're on crack.
I think you've got about the easiest path to the playoffs that you can have. USC, I mean, they're just overhyped.
What about
every
Wisconsin, though,
single
bro?
year.
Wisconsin doesn't play a single ranked team all year.
Do they not?
I mean, they play Michigan, but Michigan's not even going to be ranked.
Michigan, who just lost to Michigan State last weekend. Yeah.
So we all agree that Washington's going.
Wisconsin and Penn State, Ohio State will creep their ass back into the playoffs, and I hope that doesn't happen. They didn't deserve to be there last year. They weren't good enough to be there last year. They showed that. I'd much rather have seen Penn State in the playoffs last year.
So how does Washington and Alabama match up, Tiggy?
Oh, all right. Look, so what I've seen last year, right? Like I watched the game, right? So basically, what happened is that for some reason nowadays, like there's this like stupid Georgia fan.
Somebody's cooking meth in the background.
Yeah.
That's the sound of cooking meth. I've seen Breaking Bad before. I know that sound.
Go ahead, Tiggy.
All right. Well, I'm gonna continue. All right. So there's like these stupid SEC fans. They're over here saying that Alabama blew out Washington last year. They're saying that they blew us out. I'm just like, bruh, here's the thing, right? Alabama got lucky last year. All right. Here's the problem. No. Hold on. Hear me out.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
All right. So we go down the field, like first or second possession, we score a touchdown, right? Legit drive. All right, we score a touchdown on a legit drive. And then Bama goes down the field, they score a touchdown on a legit drive, right? So there we go, 7-7.
7-7, even game.
And then we fumble the ball, they recover in the red zone, and their offense gets shut down by our defense, they kick a field goal, right? So our offense just gave them 3 points, pretty much. That's what happened. Our offense just gave you guys 3 points. And then, like, there's 2 minutes left before halftime. You guys are up 10-7, and then we're on our own 20-yard line. and we just gift you a pick six, right? Jake Browning just throws a pass behind the line of scrimmage, gets picked off, touchdown, whatever, right? So at this point, our offense has scored more points for you guys than they have for us.
It's crazy how that
and
works.
Then your only other touchdown came on like an 80-yard run. So you guys didn't dominate us, right? We shut down Jalen Hurts. Bro, Jalen Hurts threw for 50 yards.
Right.
Go look that up. He threw for about 50 yards
He
or
did.
so. You know, we got what was it? We got 3 sacks on them. You know, none of the teams can move the ball really, right? Bama was not that much better than us. And, you know, from last year to this year, Bama's lost some key pieces on defense. You know, we already have the blueprint to stop Jalen Hurts. I think, you know, I don't think Bama wants to see us, you know, come, especially in like a Rose Bowl, bro. If it's the Rose Bowl, it's over, dude. We're gonna destroy Bama.
Let me just go ahead and
go ahead
and weigh in here. I mean, it's obvious that this game has weighed heavily on your mind. You remember a lot of details about it. Here's what I remember was that Washington didn't really have a chance, and the game proved that out. Here, the facts are, man, is that Saban has 7 consecutive number 1 ranked recruiting classes. When you talk about us losing key pieces, man, I've got 5 stars riding the bench who would start anywhere. I had 2 linebackers last year who played 1 year and went to the NFL. We have the horses to field 2 or 3 teams. We've already lost our starting 2 linebackers in the first game of the year, and we're still top 5 in all defensive stats. We haven't had any drop-off in talent, and we won't have it this year either. The blueprint for stopping Jalen Hurts isn't a big mystery to anybody. He's a better passer this year than he was last year, but he's still, you know, just a running back who can throw the ball. You know, he throws the ball really well. He's made a lot of progress in his passing.
Very Tebow-esque. Yeah, very much like Tim Tebow.
You know, not much different. That's a good
running back instead of Tebow's fullback. Each week, Smacking Off presents our Life Championship. This week's Life Championship brought to you by Bad Month Tires. You don't have the swag for Goodyear, so aim for the middle with Bad Month Tires, the most economical tire money can buy.
The Butch Jones Annual Life Championship Top 10.
10. Texas A&M. 9. Utah. 8. LSU. 7. Michigan State. 6. Florida State. 5. Michigan. 4. Texas. 3. USC. 2. Florida. 1. Louisville.
But yeah, well, that's a real good comparison. I'll take that. But the thing is that you're still going to have to score, and the recipe for beating Alabama is not a mystery. You need a dual threat quarterback playing at a Heisman level. You need to stop the run, and you need a little bit of luck. If you look back at all the games we've lost, and there's not many of them.
Ole Miss.
Yeah. I mean, there you go. If you look back at all the games we've lost, and there's not many of them, that's the formula.
Yep.
That's what happens. You know, we've lost to Clemson. We lost to Texas A&M with Johnny Manziel.
Yeah, that's what I was.
We lost with Cam
I
Newton.
don't even think about that.
We
game.
lost with, to Ole Miss with that.
Exactly. And
Just
bro, Jake
madness.
Browning is a Heisman quarterback.
So, is he a dual threat quarterback?
He's not. he's not.
Dude, he was top 5 in Heisman voting last year, bro.
Well, I mean, I get that, but he's not.
Well, so was Jalen Hurts last time I remember.
And he was injured, yo. He was injured too. That's the thing. He was injured during the Peach Bowl, bro. If he wasn't injured, dude, it's a wrap. I say we would have won that game. We would have maybe beat Clemson if Jake Browning wasn't hurt, bro. Because look at it, bro. You see how we play on that second drive? Like, obviously, you probably don't remember it that well, but you know how we scored a touchdown early because Jake Browning was.
I remember it's the only touchdown of the game they scored, so we all remember it.
Yeah, we
It was early. Yeah, it was early, and there's a reason it was early.
The dynasty is dead. I mean, look, all the sports reporters had it all typed out. The dynasty is dead. They were waiting to hit send on that bastard, and you let them all down. I mean, they were looking forward to it. It
would have been.
They want you to win.
Yeah, it would have been dead, bro. But his shoulder was hurt. It started to give out. He started to play worse. Yeah, you know.
So I got a lot of respect for Washington and the program they've been able to build up there because, I mean, God, it's got to be tough to recruit up to that cold bastard. I lived in Washington for a little bit. The reason I don't like Washington, honestly, is because of what you assholes did during the 90s when you made wearing flannel and big baggy fucking clothes real popular.
Hey, I still have flannel in my closet. I don't want to hear that talk.
Just ruined all of my jerking off, man. All the hot girls, you know, instead of wearing, you know, these hot little mini skirts that were great. Now they're all walking around, you know, all sullen and life is so hard, wearing this big bulky fucking flannel, and I can't tell if they're fat or not, you know. And so, you know, I gotta wait till, you know, she's good and drunk, and then, you know, God damn it, she's fat, and they're, you know, that was. This is going to be where are you publishing this?
Yeah, we're going to edit this part out. Sure, why not?
No, man. Leave this part in. I just don't want to go any further. Okay. But that whole grunge music thing, I still hold a grudge for that. I was thinking about that the whole time we were winning. It's like, yeah, Nirvana. Black Hole Sun, my.
Oh, whoa! Back up! I saw Soundgarden on that tour, and they were amazing.
They were. I mean, Soundgarden was great.
They really were. That was a great mecca. Anyway,
I mean,
that some other time.
We needed some. I mean, leather pants would have been great if they could have just brought that with them. That would have been perfect. But
have you ever owned a pair of leather pants?
No, I've never. Oh, I had some parachute pants at one point.
True story. I actually woke up in a commercial catfish pond in Aliceville, Alabama, wearing leather pants.
What else were you wearing?
A pleather jacket that saved my cell phone that I was actually able to call the police out to. That's a wonderful, wonderful story for my grandchildren.
That sounds like a great one. Can you still have grandchildren after that story?
No.
Was there another reason you had to call the police?
I'm the regional pullout master.
Well, I didn't know they gave out trophies for that. I should really.
Well, you know, I don't know if you remember. I'm the oldest of 14 children.
You are.
Yeah, so the family line is strong. I'm checked out of that, man.
You are very potent.
Yes.
You come from a potent line.
Yes, that's why I pull out.
Very strong in the dick.
Skeeting on a girl's face is the most enjoyable form of contraceptive, though, man.
That is a high quality. They don't teach that in sex ed classes, but
no, they did. We went to high school together. Did they teach that in sex ed? Oh no, precious.
I don't know, man. I was high. Couldn't tell me what they were doing.
Either. I was chasing skirt.
Okay, let's recount. Okay, so Tiggy says that Washington would beat Bama this year because Browning is healthy. He was injured last year, right? Is that what you were saying? And Bobby says that he's not a dual threat quarterback, so Washington's fucked.
Pretty much. That's what I'm saying. I mean, that's the formula to beat Bama. You're going to need a dual threat QB playing at a Heisman level. You're going to have to stop the run. Just sell out to stop the run and make Jalen Hurts or whoever we have at QB throw the ball.
Smacking Off invites you to join us on the podcast. If you have an opinion on an upcoming game, some commentary on your conference, or want to roll with one of your fellow smackers on air, hit us up. You can message us at the Smacking Off or X's and O's Facebook pages, email me at maddenshannon@toothfairy.com, or call us on the Smack Line, 304-508-BAIT. And as always, fuck your team.
Smack.
Nick Saban is the greatest college football coach of all time, and this is coming from a fan base that had Bear Bryant. It's hard to argue against that, but it's not just
debatable.
It's that, man, by who?
Yeah,
look, when it's all said and done, you look at what Chris Peterson has done when he was at Boise State and what he's done, at Washington. And when it's all said and done, assuming Chris Peterson continues this up, he wins a national championship, maybe 2. I have to say he's better than Nick Saban, because, look, think of it like this, right?
Now remember, Bobby, remember where he lives, pot is legal. So go ahead.
Well, no. Hold on. Think of it like this, right? He does more with less, right? I mean, you give Chris Peterson the head coach job at Alabama. Oh my goodness, he would win 10 national championships in like the next 9 or 10 years, right? Like, come on, look.
I think at Washington, he's going to win 10 live championships.
I think you're getting taken in by some of the mystique of Alabama. It's hard not to, man, because Alabama is such a dominant program. But look,
if he had the talent,
when Saban walked in the door down here, when Saban walked in the door, his first season, he didn't win an SEC championship. He barely got bowl eligible.
Yeah, he moved
to Louisiana Monroe
program. Yeah, I mean, we lost to Louisiana Monroe. I was at that game, man. They showed up on blue school buses. And it was a huge controversy at the time, a huge controversy that we were paying Nick Saban $4 million. Oh, my God.
They were all calling for his head that weekend.
Yeah. I mean, it was, and, hey, now we pay him roughly about 10 and no one blinks. Nick Saban started
he could ask for 20
race.
And we'd give it to him in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah. Nick Saban started an arms race among, head coaches and among the conference, and look, he's won it.
He destroyed the conference. Yeah.
We did. He did. He destroyed the conference. We're a fucking basketball conference now. I mean, seriously.
Nah.
I mean, we had more people in the Final Four last year than we had in the college football playoffs.
Let's give
I was lucky, South Carolina, I remember that, South Carolina. But when they had to play a superior West Coast team, we all know how that ended up,
I don't know anything about basketball, man. I mean, other than pretty.
I'm with you.
I honestly don't know much about. I mean, I'm vaguely aware that we have a team.
Does Alabama have a basketball team?
Coleman Coliseum.
Hey, Alabama, they recruit hella good in basketball. I think that's like a kind of like an effect from football.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
We've got. I forget the name of them. I've seen it. I mean, splash on social media at some point with a couple of really good guys coming in for basketball, and people are excited about it. Of course, they got that big scandal now with Adidas, and
everybody's wrapped up in that right now, from the Pac-12 to the SEC and beyond.
Well, only the big teams,
Yeah, I read a little bit about that. I didn't follow the whole thing. I know it's dirty and people are getting paid, and I mean it's.
Well, at least Alabama and Auburn have something in common, because we've had members of both staffs have been implicated or have had to quietly resign and so on and so forth. I think it was on a lesser degree. At Alabama, of course, we had Chuck Pearson's a very, very prominent NBA star who was kicking ass down in Auburn, who's looking for a job right now. Well, fellas, we're going to wrap this up. I am so glad that both of you decided to do this. I feel like it's been a wonderful conversation, and I learned something tonight. What about you, Doug?
Oh, yeah. I learned that Tiggy's an actual real person. I don't think he's trolling. Before we get off, though, and I think my phone's fixing to die, so if it does, I apologize. Tiggy, I want to say I'm a big fan, man. I love the way that you get folks fired up on social media, man. It's always, if I see you post something, I always go through it and read the comments.
Always.
I love the inventiveness and the effort that you put in. And I'm going to go ahead and call them trolls. You can say they're not. I love the inventiveness that you use because they're so subtle, right? And subtlety is usually lost on social media, particularly with, and I'm going to be ugly about this, Bama fans, because Bama fans are really easy to troll.
Yeah. True story. True story.
I mean, I hate that I miss out on it, honestly. I mean, I need to get me a fake because it looks like it's so much fun, and I can't do it,
Oh
But
man,
I'm a big
I
fan.
wish I
I'm a
could
big
though.
fan.
Yeah, dude. I keep trying to make fake accounts so I can, because I keep getting on post block. But then Facebook, bro, they know about me, dude. They keep shutting me down.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure the NSA is already circulating some information about you anytime that you log on. There's suddenly an alert goes off and everybody has to run back to their computers.
And
real
the one
quick.
picture comes up.
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
with the little Washington hat. And,
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, probably.
he's on. Everybody be quiet. Yeah.
Fuck this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You get him fired up, man. I'm a big fan. I like it.
Well, guys, we really appreciate you being on, and we look forward to bringing both of you on future broadcasts. So, if what we said just pissed you off, well, you can always give us a call. 304-508-BAIT. And as always, fuck your team.
Smack.